What's up, everybody? It's Deej with Heavy Shoulders. I'm here with another Weekend Warrior tip. This is a continuation of the suspension tips. We finally got the rear spring in for my CRF450, and I'm ready to respring it so that we can get that thing stiffer. This spring, the stock spring that came with it, was way too soft. It said that I had a 51 kilogram per millimeter spring, and the suggested, when you go through Racetech's program, it suggested that I get a 59 kilogram, but I think it goes from 58 to 60. And it was already such a big jump that I didn't want to go clear to 60, which was, if you round up, that's the closest. But I went with a 58. Okay, so here comes this. Okay, there we have it. Here's the new spring ready to go in, and I do believe that these are color coded, so if you don't like the blue spring on your bike, that sucks. Sorry, but I guarantee you the ride is worth sacrifice for having a different color. So if you really just can't do it, you can take them and get them powder coated. So anyway, this is the spring we're going to install. First thing we got to do is we got to take seat off, plastics off, and take the subframe off so we can get to that rear shock. Let's do it. Okay, now with these new bikes, there's a lot of electrical connections that you gotta unhook before you just go yanking it off. So to be safe, make sure you got them all before you start yanking that sucker off. The boot for the throttle body is kind of a pain in the butt, and if it's been on there for several years, it might be a pain in the butt to get off. But be patient with it, work it nice and easy, get a little persuasion bar if you need to, and rock it loose. I used to work in sprinklers, and one of these little screwdrivers is awesome for taking off electrical connections, so this is what I'm going to use. Finally got all the electrical connections taken apart, got the throttle body disconnected, and we're separated and ready to get down to the shock. I'll get a closer look for you so you can see what I was dealing with. These newer bikes have a lot of connections, especially the Honda. They wanted to go for a centralized mass, so they stuck everything right here in the middle. It was really fun. This screwdriver got a good workout. Okay, so this is what I was up against. Having to disconnect all of that, and the boot, which is there. So I had a connection here, connection here, connection here, a hose right here. Of course this wasn't that easy to get apart, and also for the solenoid for the starter. Which, tip, always go ahead and disconnect your positive terminal to your battery before you go. Found out the hard way that this is the positive cable. So that was fun. Now the only bolts that are holding this bad boy on are this one here and one down lower. And I'll get a better shot for the lower one. They're 17 millimeter. And sometimes they're really hard to pull off. Not messing around anymore. I'm pretty sure this thing has been on there since late 2018, so never been taken off. And you have to lift up your tire a little bit to relieve the tension. Pull that sucker out of there. No, it's easy. We'll just put this right back here so we don't lose it. And here's the next one. This is the lower one, and after that we can just pull it all out. And it is also a 17 millimeter. So, see how many knuckles we can break. Oh, yeah. Okay, now we got the shock out. I got it in the vise. You want to pay attention to where your preload is a little bit. You're going to have to change it anyway, and we'll go over that in another video on how to set your race sag, because that is very important as well. It will change your handling characteristics, and once you get it right, you're able to be very comfortable on the bike, and that's what we want. As weekend warriors, we want to be comfortable all the time. So, now we're going to go ahead and take this off, take the spring off, change it, put the other one on. It's pretty simple. So, we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, something I want to clarify here. With these Weekend Warrior tips, I want to do something that will kind of help everybody out. For a lot of this stuff, you have to have specialized tools, right? Well, if you're only going to do one bike every 5 years or something, you don't really want to go out and buy those expensive tools to do it. So with these Weekend Warrior tips, I'm going to show you how to do it with stuff that you already have around the shop. So I'm going to use a bolt and a rubber mallet, just to knock this guy loose, okay? We're not gonna cause a whole lot of damage. We're not gonna cause any damage. So, we're just gonna knock this guy loose, and everything will work just fine. See, I barely even had to tap it. You wanna loosen this all the way up. Till your spring is loose. Okay. Get it out of the vise here. And now, what we got here is this part right here has to be separated. Yeah. And I like to spray a little bit of lube on stuff to help loosen all this stuff up. Okay, I'm gonna show you something. So what we want to do, right in here. Okay, you see this little clip? We want to pull that clip out so that this ring can come off. Okay, remember your handy dandy screwdriver? It's gonna come in handy. They got a real nice pointy edge to them so that you can. Okay, now that we got that thing loose, we're able to pull this ring off, put it aside, and the spring is off. And now that we have this apart, we want to go ahead and just check things over. Make sure there's no leaks right here. Make sure that this shaft looks good. There's no nicks and whatnot, because those will cause leaks. And the overall integrity of it. And this looks pretty good. Might give it a little bit of a polish up, get all the dirt and dust and mud off of it, and put it back together. So I wanted to give you an up-close look, if it'll focus, there we go, at the difference between these two springs. The blue one is considerably thicker to accommodate my fat butt. So, we're gonna go ahead and change it. Okay, I got this thing all cleaned up, looking pretty good. Now, all we gotta do is go ahead and throw this guy on there. Now, reservoir for this guy is the top, and I'm just following the writing on this guy. Excuse me. And we're gonna go ahead and install it with the writing just as so you could read it if it was installed. Right side up. Okay. So, got that installed. This guy here, we want this ring. Go right down. Okay. Okay, we got that on. But now what we need to do is we need to bring this down far enough to get that little clip in there. So it might be a little fun. Okay, so what I did is I put that little clip ring right down in here, and then I just pulled down on this bigger ring, and then as I did so, I took a screwdriver and just pushed it in. So that's how I did that. But anyway, this is a 2019 CRF450 shock, so yours might be a little bit different. You can look it up on YouTube how to do those, but we really wanted to go over why you need to change your spring rate. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this back together, reversing the process I just showed you. You want to make sure and torque your bolts down to spec. Check your manual, or you can check the interweb and they will let you know what torque specs you need to torque your bolts down to. If you get them too tight, you will get a bound up feel and it will just feel off. But if you get the right torque specs, then it will feel as it should. This one is 32 pounds, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so from here, all it is just throwing the subframe back on, making all the connections, and basically putting all the body panels back together. And then it's moving on to race sag. So, but now you know how to change your spring and what spring rate to go to and how to get that. And with that information, you will have a much better experience riding your bike, I promise. Until the next time, we're going to do the front suspension and we'll do race sag. So stay tuned for more Weekend Warrior tips to get your ride riding perfect for the little amount of time that we have. So in the meantime, check out heavyshoulders.com. Check out our Instagram. You'll find more posts. You can see some merchandise. Go ahead and pick you up some of that and rock the weekend. Keep it pinned.